We're the voices of experiencers, and we are the experiencers of extraterrestrials. Just what's out there in the abyss, in the darkness of the unknown. It's time for disclosure and it's time for truth, because what lies in the darkness brings powerful transformation. We're the bridge between two different worlds, with one foot in this reality and one in the next. The shift is here, along with profound integration. Just who are extraterrestrials and what are their plans? It's time to find out with the voices of contact.
We are the voices of experiencers because we are the experiencers. It's time for disclosure and it's time for truth, because truth brings powerful transformation. We are the voices of change. We are about evolution on an expansive level, living life without fear and becoming the bridge between two different realities. Profound evolution is here. Profound integration is here. This is the Voices of Contact. Hi, everyone. I'm Mary. I'm a channeler and psychic medium. I'm also a hypnosis regressionist for ET experiencers, and I work with MUFON doing regression work. I also work with PTSD experiencers, paranormal experiencers, and victims of crime to assist them in recall. I'm really looking forward to another amazing show tonight with our panel. I just want to say to you guys that the work that you're doing here with me is so impactful, like literally it's life-changing. And I thank you for being a part of it and being here with me. It means more than you realize to me as well as the listeners. So allow me to introduce some of my most favorite people. First, we have Deb and RJ DeRoos. They're authors, paranormal UFO researchers, and they're experiencers themselves. And they also are the founders of the Michigan UFO Contact that happens every year in Houghton Lake, Michigan at the end of September. They're owners and managers of Mystical Awakenings Radio, Mystical Awakening VODCAST on the YouTube channel, and at the Mystical Awakenings Metaphysical Store in Houghton Lake, Michigan. Last but definitely not least, we have our amazing new panelist, Deborah Jordan Cobble. She was the central figure in Bud Hopkins' international bestseller, Intruders, The Incredible Visitations at Copley Woods, which was actually made into a CBS miniseries in 1992. She's co-author of the book Abducted, The Story of the Intruders Continues, and author of Extraordinary Contact, Life Beyond Intruders. She's a former Indiana MUFON investigator and co-founder of her own paranormal group, Paranormal Underground, and host of the Midwest Paratalk podcast. With the amazing panel that we have tonight, I know that anything is possible. And we are going to get down deep into discovery and answers to what's actually really happening out there. This show is all about transmutating the light from the dark and replacing fear with knowledge. Through my regression work, I have come across amazing cases with some amazing clients. It is my passion to work with them and to help them have a better understanding of the contact they've had. Whether they were taken, have had contact in the physical realm, or through a dream state. I'm grateful that my clients have agreed to allow me to use the regressions on the Voices of Contact. Tonight, this is the place to be, because the panel breaks down the experiences, providing powerful feedback. I love it, because all the listeners get to learn and connect, and the person that I regressed walks away even more immersed in the experience with a new perspective on their contact. Literally, it's a win-win, right? This is the Voices of Contact.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome back, Dana. Welcome back, Peter.
Hope you guys had a good week.
Yeah.
Yep. Long time no see, y'all.
Yeah.
It went really fast.
It did go fast, didn't it?
So we're going to pick up right where we left off last week with the regression. So just a little bit of, background to catch us up, especially if we have new viewers just tuning in. So last week's regression, she wanted to explore what happened when all of a sudden she woke up outside. She was standing on a road in her pajamas, and she made contact with ET, and he put something in her eyes so that he could watch through her eyes because she was about to get pregnant. so moving forward, talk more about her generational contact and why. So with this next clip, she's still talking with this gray being and talks about how there's different species, how they want different things from Earth, and how there's kind of a hierarchy, and maybe what the purpose is more for grays than species that are higher up than the grays. So give me one moment.
They're a lot like, well, the boss ones, the real ones, they're more like humans, in that they just want to own things.
So what do you mean by the boss one? Are those different than the little gray one?
Yeah, the little ones are like, they're like, well, they're not robots. Well, they're people someplace else drive them. They don't have to be here. They can drive. I'm trying to think of how to put it. They're like avatars for somebody somewhere else, except they're biological. They're not in a computer game or something, but somebody someplace else drives them around, tells them what to do, where to go.
So they're like physical beings that are attached to somewhere else,
Yes.
and the people somewhere else
Somebody,
for them?
yeah, they could be a long ways away, driving them, using them to like they're there looking around and examining things, but they're not physically there. They're driving those little people.
Why do you feel they do it this way?
They don't want to travel. They don't have to travel. I'm trying to think of how to put it. It's safer and more convenient for them to drive around the other little people than for them to actually go there.
So it's like less exposure?
Yeah.
Okay. What happens after you put that little BB piece behind your eye? What happens next?
I stand there frozen until they go away. And then I went to bed.
Yeah, you hear that as you research that they use avatars and they can transfer consciousness and they can transfer their soul energy into other beings or other beings like them. And they can have clones or whatever, So that makes perfect sense from what I've been hearing and reading. So,
Right.
Did she say that she just went to bed? Am I, it's been a minute. So am I remembering, was this event when she found herself awake in the road?
Yeah.
And then now she's just going to bed. Does she remember how she got from the road back to her bed? Or because a lot of times people don't. I mean, I don't remember.
I didn't know.
Yeah, because I don't remember. I never remember actually going into a place or coming out of one. It's just I'm there, like So I just was curious. I was just making sure it was the same. We're talking about the same event.
Yes. Yeah.
well, I just had a regression done by Mary, and it happened to me. I think when I listened back to the recording, that I ended up back in my bed, and I don't remember. I don't remember going to the ship and then coming back. I don't.
Yeah. Right. Heck, when I saw that thing in my mom and dad's backyard, and I saw those little kids, quote unquote, which I think were probably just little grays, I don't even remember seeing them going in there or coming out of there. So, and that was 40 years ago. I figured I must not need to remember, or I would. But.
Right. And she's basically saying that the graves are being controlled wherever they are by higher beings that are literally someplace else. So
I've heard that before also.
Avatars.
Yeah, it's interesting that, they're letting her know this, and she's relaying it. It kind of puts you in mind that, with respect to Peter, meanwhile here on Earth, we are the beings that are kind of being controlled by being someplace else. So it's just gave me an eerie feeling, that they are being controlled. And in many ways, I remember with my first known experience, the hardest part for me was they decided when they were going to show up. They decided when and how and where they were taking me. I had no control over that. So, that's happening other places.
So Dana, I can already see Dana like, nope.
Nope, that's not gonna.
Yeah, I mean, I hear these stories. I've had some sort of, I think, experience, but I just certain aspects of it always seem to come right back to the forefront. Like I was afraid, and then I wasn't. I just get a lot of mind control feeling about it, but that could be just me because I'm paranoid or something. But I have a problem with why it has to be that covert if it's been going on indeed all of this time. Disclosure, yes, but let's get on with it. Because I want to know why people were abducted. If we theorize somewhat, for those that don't remember necessarily, like me, I'm not like you guys. I'm kind of from the outside looking in on it more. So to me, I'm like, I don't know.
Hey, I'm still a theory. I mean, a lot of things that I feel maybe pertain to me, and I can only speak on my own particular experience, are still my opinions or my theories. Nobody's told me most of this stuff. I figured it out on my own. You know what I mean?
Well,
and that's only applies to me. I can't speak on anybody else's experience. So
Dana, that's going to change. Dana, that's going to change for you, by the way. As we get into this, we're going to know more and more and more. So
that's fine because I'm really nosy, but I take it very cautiously because, man, that's pretty easy if they've got a handle on that sort of mind control to like relax me if I'm being taken somewhere that I don't want to go.
Yeah.
They might. I feel they like, hey, they love it when you're like nice to them and stuff. Just like do this and. In the meantime, I'm getting a pregnancy baby in my eye. There's something. I got to know more.
Yeah. That's why we do this show. That's why
I know
Peter does what he does.
Because
and that's
I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm just being honest. I just don't.
It happens around the world to more and more people than you can even imagine. Many people don't talk about it. And those of us who do talk about it, then you have the Pentagon saying there's no proof. And then we want to hold back, but we can't. This happens to too many people. Too many people have the mind control used on. We have to speak out.
I'll try not to make the face. I'll be like,
it's all right
for the rest of the time. I just can't help it. So that's why I find this so interesting to listen to you guys talk about it, because there's certain things that just repeat and repeat and repeat,
And Peter, just to let you know, because we did let people know on the show that Dana did have some experiences here that she's trying to find out. So
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so did my father, actually. So, yeah.
She's not terribly happy about it.
I just want to know What's up?
We're going to get there.
Yeah.
Because Mary's going to regress you.
Are you going to regress me, Mary?
If you let me, I will.
We'll see.
That's up to
He's
you.
a control freak coming into play.
know.
Get that magic dart gun to make me relax. We'll see.
That Men in Black little flash thing.
Right.
Dana, do you feel that you really would like to be regressed, or?
Yes,
Okay.
I do. I do, because and I don't want to. It's not really my story tonight, but there are very specific things that these guys know about. But very bizarre. And my father, it's really kind of started with my dad back when he was in the Marines.
Huh.
So
my
Yeah,
dad
there was a lot of
a
physical.
lot of Project Blue Book books and Carl
Yeah.
Sagan, and that was not my dad. That the personality, only that. And I didn't think it was weird then, but he's since passed away. But he was on to something, because that just is not that wasn't my dad. It was just that one specific part of the unknown
Right.
that he was.
In feeling that you want to explore these memories, or some of these memories, you have given some thought to that part of this might not be pleasant at all for you.
Exactly. And maybe that's part of why I'm such a skeptic when I listen to this, because subconsciously I'm going, wait a minute, because when it happened to me, I'm not saying that. But is that part of why I'm kind of like, you sure?
Yeah, it is. It's
so we'll see.
Well, I think skepticism is a healthy.
I am very healthy.
You know what? There's a difference between being a skeptic and being a debunker. I mean,
I believe in them. I don't know if I believe that they're all perfect and wonderful and out for peace necessarily. That's
We have to be.
life.
We have to be skeptics. Debunkers, though, are the exact opposite.
Right.
There's no skepticism involved. They simply know that we're wrong. They know that there's no such thing as alien abduction. They know this. As Bud used
very
to joke,
well versed in people
we
like
should
that.
all look up to and respect these amazing people, because we're just trying to wrap our head around, even decades after we begin studying this, our own experiences or other people's, we're still trying to figure out what's going on. They know. And they also know that what we pathetic, deluded people believe is going on, it's simply impossible. And their job, it's based on the mantra, it can't be, therefore it isn't, therefore it's something else. And their job is to pat us on the head and show us that this is all explainable in conventional terms and nothing to see here, folks. Move on.
Yeah.
But skepticism is really important, especially for those of us who no longer have the luxury, experientially or in terms of just exposure to evidence, of being skeptics. That's when we have to be particularly so. And you, just because you believe something is true doesn't make you a believer. Every case is different, and it's just common sense. I mean, something I try to always bring home to folks is, if you had some huge research grant and a staff and a couple of $1 million that you could do whatever you want within this, you still wouldn't have better research tools than common sense, logical deduction, and a skeptical inquiry. You just, if it's too good to be true or too bad to be true, that's usually a tap on the shoulder that it is.
Mary, you just had a flash in your room. What was that?
Yeah, what was that?
Oh, I don't know. It could be I don't think it could be the traffic. The traffic's too far out. I have no idea.
Okay.
Well, if you disappear.
Or somebody ends up sitting next to you.
No, it's already been one of those days. That happened to me this morning.
Yeah, we talked about that
while
earlier this morning.
I was getting the show ready.
Yeah.
I could see the outline. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Or
sit down and listen.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
this next clip, this is the point where we tap into the subconscious to ask some specific questions, and we tap into asking ET questions. So her first question was, it was back in the 1980s, and she was standing out in her yard, and she saw in the sky just a silver ball, and she wanted to know what that was.
Okay, what I would like to do now is draw forth any ET beings that are connected, that have answers. One of the questions that she has is, what was the silver ball that she saw in the 80s?
A distraction.
A distraction from what?
You're watching the left hand, you don't know what the right one's doing.
What was really going on?
They were in the house.
They were in the house at this time?
They were in the house with the kids.
Is that what they were distracting you from?
Yes.
What were they doing in the house with the kids?
They did something. I see inoculation. I don't know what that means.
Some kind of shots?
I don't know. Something preventative.
Something, what do you mean preventative? Was it something to help them?
Yes.
Okay. They were just trying to distract you so they could help them?
Yes.
What did your children need help with?
They just are making sure they stayed healthy until they reproduced.
Why did they want them to stay healthy until they reproduced?
So they have another generation to mess with.
Dana, the look on your face is priceless.
I'm like, right, see? That was a little more how I feel about it. The way she sounded in that last clip.
She sounded angry.
Yes, she
She
did.
felt angry.
Which is quite different from what she sounded like last week when she first saw the light and was sad when they left.
Right.
So it got to make me wonder.
It's interesting.
Was there some outside manipulation to make her feel that way? To feel the sad when they left part.
Well, and it could also be the mother bear. They're
Could
with
be.
your children.
How often is it reported that there's an inoculation or some such? And I know I've heard other experiments as far,
I've never heard that before.
No idea of any kind of statistics that anybody's kept around that.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Well, in men, a lot of men have reported, they've taken sperm from them a lot of times.
Right.
What are they doing with it? Where's it going? And so
maybe that's what the inoculation is now.
No.
No. My bad. I don't know why my brain even went there. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We don't know.
I don't. I've never heard of that. And I've never heard of anybody saying that, or at least maybe not using that saying exact word,
Inoculation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But she sounded, this particular person, to me, she sounds so genuine when she started crying.
Yeah.
And then in this case, she was ticked.
Yeah.
She's mad about that. And that's more of that's less of the, oh, I miss them. Oh, they're doing this. This is like basically get away from my kids. Stop distracting me over here. I know you're in there, kind of thing. And that is a very mama bear thing, Deb, like you said.
I remember one hypnosis session I had with Bud in regards to something physically that was being done to me. I don't remember a lot about it, but I remember at one point screaming and crying and mad and wanting my child. And I know those tapes exist somewhere, but I have no idea where they are.
So Peter, the first time we heard her, she was in her 20s, but now she's got kids. So I think she's more aware of what's going on. That's why she might be a little more ticked off, because she's more aware that, hey, this is a family thing. This has been going on through generations.
I can't speak to that directly, but it just makes so much the most profound basic sense that if you've had these experiences growing up and you're a young woman and then you give birth and you are now a mother, that I don't have to tell any of you that would understand that it's just instinctive at that level.
Right.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
She knows, and maybe her kids are going to be involved now. I mean,
Right.
that feeling. So.
It sounds like
Yeah, so for this next clip, she delves a little bit more into that and more about the contact that's generational.
So just trying to keep the generations healthy. What do they get out of creating new generations? Having new generations, how does that benefit them?
Well, I think that intelligence is part of it. But I think, some people can handle, information that would completely mess up someone else's life. Some people can handle it and go on with it better. They're making their brains more adaptable. That would be the word.
What do they need to be more adaptable for?
Because they don't know when they're going to show up, but when they show up, they don't want everybody freaking out.
So they're trying to create generations who will be used to the idea so that when they arrive.
I think they're trying to create people who can live with it, who aren't going to shut down.
They can accept it. So they plan on living with us?
I don't know if they plan to live with us or just let us know they're there.
They just want to be able to come to Earth?
Yeah.
So is it sort of like people being able to accept them so they can come and get what they want from Earth and be safe?
Yeah.
I get that. I feel, I understand what she's saying. I don't know that I've heard it from the same kind of source or how I've come to it, but like I've been through a lot of stuff in regular life, like tornadoes dropping houses on me and watching my husband die and everything. And I go to therapy and I do EMDR therapy. I've been diagnosed with PTSD, but before even the weird, crazy life stuff. And my therapist made a comment to me recently that she was amazed at how well I have gotten through these life things like the tornado and the suicide and everything, and the attitude and the brain that I have. And I'm like, I think it's because of the weird stuff, because she knows about the UFO related stuff too. And I said, I don't know why, but somehow going through that has changed my ability to go through all kinds of traumatic stuff and come out stable on the other side.
Yeah.
And, because I was getting, because she didn't get me with the tornado stuff to do the EMDR therapy on and stuff until after I'd already been through the suicide and the other crazy stuff that happened in my life and the UFO stuff, and she's like, you're amazingly well adjusted. And I'm like, thank God. I thought maybe you'd tell me I was crazy and here's some pills and you might need to go to a home or something. But she said you're amazingly well. She said you're amazingly well adjusted for all the things that you've been through, and you're able to talk about it in such a strong way. And a lot of people, and that's when she's like, a lot of people wouldn't be able to do what you've been able to do. And I said, I wonder if it's the experiences I've had, and maybe that was part of the point. And also, because I've been told somehow, some way in my head, I don't know by who, that, it's the people that are able to adjust and cope with trauma and stress the best that will make it. This quote unquote new world will be for everyone, but not everybody will make it. And that's their choice, but, and I don't, by new world, I don't mean new world order or any of that other conspiracy theory thing. I think that just that things are going to change. Our perception of our world around us is going to shift and change. And we're going to have to be able to accept it and adjust to it in order to live in it. And my ability to adjust and adapt to my surroundings is enhanced. Let's say, to put it a way that's understandable. And I can't help but think that my previous experiences had something to do with that. And so she's kind of confirming for me things I've already had in my head. And I'm here to confirm for her that I get that. I understand that completely. It makes complete and utter sense to me. So I just had to blurt that out. I'm sorry.
Well, trust me, you've met my brothers. They're no longer here anymore, but my family, and you get a chance to meet my mother. But, I got a degree that I totally agree to come into a family like that, because that's all we ever talked about. We talked about stuff like that. And I think it's easier for them to have a generation after generation because sometimes people do talk about it, and it does ease it. Ease the weirdness, the shock, whatever you want to call it, that we can accept what's going on. So,
we're going to be seeing things around us we've never seen before, like and life and things. And I feel like it's coming, and you're just going to have to accept that that's how it is. That your world that you've known your whole life is really not been what you thought it was. It's a lot more, and you're going to find that out real soon here. Some people's not going to be able to handle it, I think.
I know.
But people like us, people who've had these experiences, we already got a little taste of it. We're kind of conditioned in a way, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they'll be throwing me in jail right away. He's a skeptic. Get her in there.
No, you'd be like, yeah, I get that.
But I'm not a skeptic. I'm just skeptical of the reason.
Yeah, we love you because you're that way. Trust me.
Yeah, for considering what I do for a living, right?
Yeah.
Right. What do you do for a living?
I'm a psychic medium.
Yeah.
She works all the time.
You're going to get real busy.
All the time.
She's off doing, her thing everywhere around the states.
Yeah. But
just got back, man.
For all I know, maybe that, Deb and Mary, all of that, what we're doing could very well be them somehow. Absolutely. So is it really? Because that's what I think. I think it's coming from
in the bigger picture, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially like we've talked before, the medical stuff that I get.
Yeah.
That doesn't make that's coming from elsewhere. Yeah.
Right.
I'm guessing everybody has the ability to develop their psychic facilities, even to extraordinary points. Most of us don't, because we've talked ourselves out of it. It's too self-conscious. It unnerves us, or
we're conditioned different.
Yeah. But we all know that people are capable of extraordinary psychic accomplishments. Again, if they've grown up in an atmosphere that allows them to develop them. And at the same time, I'm sure a lot of people, they're almost like sleeper agents, so to say. These things are asleep in them. But sometimes a life-changing event can be that tap on the shoulder to make you want to be a little more aware or perceptive.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
You don't get away with anything when you're married to a psychic medium.
Which reminds me of the old joke, why do psychics have to have conferences?
Right.
Right. Or this, I had this one joke. I used to say, you know what psychokinesis is,
Yeah.
I said, all those with psychokinesis raise my hand.
Yes. I've seen that. I love that. That is a good one.
All right. For this next clip, talks more about why the generational work is so important to prepare humanity for them coming to this planet.
Okay.
What's the message that you're implanting in humans but then suppressing?
They want people to be on their side. There is something coming, a confrontation, and they want a lot of people to be on their side.
Why will it be important for people to be on their side?
To stop the governments and the reactionary people and the religious fanatics and everybody else who's afraid from just attacking them.
So they're using some people to help get rid of the fear?
They're hoping that there's enough people that won't act that way.
So that they can just come in peace?
Yeah.
Will they come in peace?
Do they plan to come and enslave us and destroy the planet? Probably not. Do they plan to leave us alone? No. Do they plan to... The planet is like a greenhouse full of things that are important to a lot of species. So they won't destroy it because that stuff's all important to them. I'm not sure how important the humans are, but I think there's some place between indifferent and not really wanting to hurt us.
Why do people have more paranormal experiences after they've had contact with ET visitors?
It's not really that something physical changed as much as it's that they stopped not seeing it. It's along the lines of that being able to cope with unexpected changes in your reality without going crazy.
See?
Every time.
I had heard that once the big disclosure comes when they actually you see them on TV, they're going to have these world fairs where you go get to meet them, like in big towns like Chicago.
I've never heard that.
Yeah,
Cool, though.
Mary, a question.
I heard somebody talking about that, but and that would make sense. Come meet them. And,
Mary, a question for you.
Yeah.
When you're conducting the part we just listened to of this regression and listening back to it now, do you think the things that she was saying were truly what she feels she was getting from this entity, or that this is her belief that she's kind of superimposing on it?
I do believe that she's getting genuine answers only because like in the interview process, she's always had a very negative feel for her experiences. So she remembers the bad and she automatically just thinks that they're all bad experiences. I was violated. So when I hear her talk about, I guess it would be like more scientific approach, why they're doing it. It's stuff that I've always connected and thought myself. And so when I hear her say it after I've interviewed her and heard her different opinion, I do feel like she's getting actual answers.
Yeah. And, I wonder, I that's something I always think about whenever even when I was hypnotized myself, I worried about how much was what I actually remembering or was something that I had possibly maybe even subconsciously picked up somewhere, Of course, 40 years ago, it wasn't as easy to pick up things as it is now with it's like everywhere now, but because you said she was so negative about it, now she's come, under hypnosis, it seems different. That makes sense to me that it might be. And I also thought, could it even be, I don't know how I feel about channeling, so to speak, but I think that's a possibility I think sometimes that might happen. I don't know that it's ever necessarily happened to me or not. Maybe it has, and I don't even know it. Maybe that's part of what is coming out of her is actually coming from a different source. It's an opinion. It's my, a possibility, a theory. I'm open to all kinds of theories and possibilities because I don't know. I don't have a lot of answers for stuff like that, but that kind of, popped in my head too.
Well, I say this: in an infinite universe, it goes on forever. There's an infinite amount of possibilities. You got to be open to an infinite amount of, things that could happen. So you really can't just form your own opinion. You just have to be open to it and realize that in this field of the paranormal and the UFO part of it, anything's possible. Where if you're ghost hunting, there's certain things that you do and certain protocols. But in this field, I mean, we have an infinite universe, and anything can happen out there. Anything can happen out there. So that's just my opinion.
Yep.
So I do know that, with this last regression, she did make the comment that she doesn't ever tune into our show because she never wants her opinion to be clouded.
Yeah.
So
that's good. Well, Bud used to tell me when the investigation first began, Peter, he said to me, "Don't read any books. Don't read any more books."
Yes.
He did. It was very specific about it. I had only seen a handful of movies. Close Encounters. I'd seen that, and I'd seen E.T. And I'd seen the Barney and Betty Hill story. I think that was pretty much it. And I'd only read maybe even a handful of books about them. And he's like, "Don't do any more from now on until after the investigation is over. I don't want you to read or to hear about anything else. If you talk to other people, you can tell them about, I don't want you to hear anything else that you possibly can." For that very reason, because I mean, it can be unconscious. You're not even doing it on purpose.
So. And it's just good common sense as well as good investigatory procedure. Most of the investigation and research I've done into the general subject of UFOs and abductions has had no mystical or otherworldly aspect to it, in that you're doing logical investigation based on the same principles that you would do in a non-paranormal investigation. And for me, one of the models is law enforcement procedures and lawyers' procedures. You don't want to have a witness or a potential witness conflicted or fill themselves with information that is just going to serve to confuse. It's fine, but not right at that moment.
Yeah.
And that's it. You're sort of preserving the evidence chain, so to say.
Yeah. Oh, it's cool. I mean, I'm glad Mary does her pre session investigation on the folks and makes, so I think that's very good.
All right. So for this last clip, she wanted to explore the time that she was standing in a golf course and then she woke up in her bed. Okay.
One time she dreamt that she was in a golf course, then woke up in her bed wet. What happened there?
Wow. The golf course is full of people. The golf course is just full of people that they took out of bed.
Who took them out of bed?
The people in the ship. They just took them out of bed, and they're all standing turned off. They're all standing turned off, and they're taking them into the ship, and then they bring them back, and then they take some more, and then they bring them back, and whatever. They're just herding them like cattle.
What are they doing to them in the ship?
They're checking. They're giving them like checkups. You know, what's in your blood? How is your brain functioning? You know, whatever it is they're interested in. They're all these people I see are young. There's no old people. There's no children. They're all like childbearing age.
They're giving them examinations?
Yep.
Is that what they did with?
Yep.
How many do you think are there?
50?
Is there anything else happening there?
Nope. People are all just quietly standing frozen in the dark until it's their turn.
How did he get back home?
They just took her back home and sent her back in. Oh, they put her down in the yard and she walked in, but she doesn't know it.
How did she get there into the golf course?
They made her walk outside and they picked her up with a light.
As soon as we finish up this back nine, people will be right with you. You know, that's fun. That's crazy.
That's bizarre. I mean, it's wild.
Yeah.
I've heard of multiple people being abducted before, but never a whole golf course is full of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. They have like the meeting place.
Well, it is open space, and
I was going to say a golf course is a great place. Most of them are tucked back a little bit.
Yep.
Right.
True.
And they're closed. There's nobody out on the greens unless it's like early AM.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know here in Michigan, many of them are surrounded by wooded areas. So.
And they're closed in the wintertime.
Yeah, and nobody golfs in the dark. So.
Well, some people do.
Well, some people do, yeah. With those glowing balls or whatever they got. So.
Yes.
I did find it interesting, the term, she used the term, they were all turned off.
Yeah, shut off.
And young, that would explain why after I hit 45, I haven't, yeah. Actually, I know it sounds cliche, but after I hit, within a week of my hysterectomy, there was an experience that happened with me, my late husband, and my house guest and her daughter, and we saw something out on the farm, and weird stuff happened, and then boop, That was actually the last real substantial physical contact I ever had. And here I am now, old lady. I'm having all kind of crazy, lucid dreams and metaphysical things. But, so I found it interesting that she said it was all young people and kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
well, I think she said no kids. They were all of the age that they could have kids. But
Yep.
Okay. So, but I mean, us old folks, there are reports of people that are older that have it, but
Yeah.
I know personally, kind of winded down for me in that respect. So
right, we're not as useful anymore.
We're useful in different ways.
Right.
Different ways.
Right. Now they make us talk about them. We talk about those things that happened long ago.
And then people are like, she's old,
Well, we talked
and I don't care what people think anymore, so I talk about it.
We've talked on past shows that they don't need to physically take us anymore to have a experience with them. They can take our consciousness and
right.
connect
Well,
with us
something
on
I feel like, like something in me changed over the years that has facilitated, other things. Anyway, that was interesting. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What did she feel about it? Did she say?
Well, no, she really didn't have a whole lot to say. She wanted answers. There's a lot of things that she was curious about over the years, and that had been probably been a year since the last regression.
Okay.
So she was ready. I think she's working on a book, and she just wanted to, get more answers for herself, the things that she's always wondered about. I think she got some answers that, she really wasn't aware of, just like with the silver ball and, finding out that they were in there with her children. I think that's one of the reasons why she came through so tense.
Yeah.
Because it was an answer she wasn't expecting.
Right.
That reminds me too. Yeah. When I have a memory of when me and my mom, I was with my mother and we were at the Catholic church in the parking lot for some reason. I think there was other people there, and there was a big, just silver ball hanging in the sky right above the parking lot. And a bunch of us were just standing around looking up at it. And I remember standing there with my mom holding her hand, looking up at this big silver ball and thinking, wow, that's cool. I wasn't afraid and I didn't know what it was. I was very young, but and I forgot I was going to mention that and I got distracted because I often do now.
And some people might have thought it was a religious experience or something,
I don't know. Yeah.
Talk about it after it happened?
Yeah.
Did anybody discuss it afterward? Because I know I've run into that with having an experience with some people that took us a year and a half to just get it down on paper.
Yeah.
I was very young.
We talk about it, we zone out on a different path, and it took quite a bit to get it finally down. So,
and in regression, you might find that all of these people were turned off and taken and worked on.
I have a feeling they'd have to turn me off to take me.
Well, they do. I mean, it's interesting because I remember after my experience in 2016 and getting memories, and my first thought was they had me turned off. I couldn't move. I couldn't respond. And I wasn't sure why my thought went to they had me turned off until we heard a regression when we first started this show. And one of the women said they turned her off. And I went, okay, I'm not the only one that felt turned off. And it literally feels like they can turn you off.
Oh, I've had that experience myself where I felt like I definitely couldn't move. And couldn't fight back, couldn't even speak. And then suddenly remembering first I'm in one place and then I'm another. I don't even know how I got from one place to the other. So I was definitely turned off for a while there.
Right.
So that's not surprising to me, that part. Surprising to me that a whole bunch of people would be turned off all at once, but I mean, why not?
Well, Peter, it's been awesome, man, working with you. I really appreciate it. You coming on.
Yeah,
Dana,
thank you.
Dana, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, he looks like he's froze up on me.
I know he's been abducted.
And they said, that's enough. You don't get him anymore.
There he is.
Again.
See,
We're like,
Peter was turned
no.
off.
He was turned right off.
You were turned off, Peter, because you were frozen there. It was like so kind of
Again.
clicky.
Well, all right, you guys. That's all we have for tonight's show.
Thank you.
Thanks to Peter and Dana.
Yes,
for
thank
joining
you
us.
both.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Thanks to you guys in the audience. You guys have a fabulous night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We're the voices of experiencers, and we are the experiencers of extraterrestrials. Just what's out there in the abyss, in the darkness of the unknown. It's time for disclosure and it's time for truth, because what lies in the darkness brings powerful transformation. We're the bridge between two different worlds, with one foot in this reality and one in the next. The shift is here, along with profound integration. Just who are extraterrestrials and what are their plans? It's time to find out with the Voices of Contact.